Hey everybody, it's Daniel here from InfoRest. Hope you're all doing well. So, it's December 24th. Tomorrow is Christmas. Merry Christmas to those who celebrate, and for those who don't, Happy New Year's. And let's go over, let's do a market update. It is a quiet trading week this week and also next week. Um, it's about 1:35 p.m. Eastern Time here. So the market is closed. It's a half day today. We had some activity in the markets. We'll take a look at that. And markets are closed tomorrow for Christmas, and then we open back up on Friday the 26th, and then next week it's going to be slow and quiet as well, heading into the New Year's. So couple of things. Let's do a recap and go over first and foremost everybody's favorite Bitcoin, right? The crypto um, coin here. So, you know, ever since October, we've been seeing a sell-off in Bitcoin, which hasn't been able to basically retrace the move and move up higher. And that's creating a lot of fear, uncertainty, doubt in the crypto markets. And it is looking not the best here for Bitcoin. So we do see that the price action is quite ugly. It's just every time it tries to get above this trend line here, we see the rejection in prices. Now, if you look at more of the bigger scale of things here, we see that yes, Bitcoin has been in this bull trend and it's still holding up. And this trend, which started in Jan of 2023, we're getting a little bit of a breather. Some may argue that, hey, this is a nice support level, and we're going to see 2026, the first quarter or second quarter or whenever, for Bitcoin to move up. So there's a lot of price predictions. There's a lot of price actions and predictions that people have out there where they see kind of price moving in, let me show you here, where they see price moving up like this, and some kind of see price moving up like this and then following a massive sell-off afterwards. Some feel that Bitcoin's rally is over with. We're going to see, a further plunge in crypto, and we might see even the 30-40K level. Some see, more consolidation, sideways action until, let's just say, closer to the end of 2026. And then one of these, right? Skyrocket to all-time highs. So whatever the case may be, whatever your case may be, or whoever thinks wherever Bitcoin is going to, it doesn't matter. What matters is the price action here, and we've been seeing this kind of mini bear trend here since October, and we haven't been able to break through it. And it is it doesn't look good from a price action point of view, that we're unable to break here the $94,000 level. We're just kind of hovering here, especially when you see gold and silver, just breaking all-time highs, right? When we look at the metals, just killing it, right? It did a amazing job in 2025, just rallying. Let's see how big that rally was. If we measure from Jan, we just estimate about 70%, right? Gold, for the year, and Bitcoin. And then when you look at Bitcoin, you know, did do well, but as gold was moving up, Bitcoin was the disappointment there. you know, the disappointment there that it couldn't rally further, right? So Jan 2025 was around here, and for the year, if hypothetically you bought in Jan 2025, the highest it went was about 18% versus gold about 70%. But if you held on, you're down now 17% on that position, right? And then silver, right? Look at silver, just killing it, making all-time highs, continuing to melt up higher. Also for the year, let's just estimate here is Jan, and about 147%, right? Even better than gold. And other metals, right? Platinum, just also monster rally, right? Look at this, man. Just insane. The metals have just killed it for 2025, especially more especially with platinum more in the end of this month, right? The end of the year, actually. um where we see a big movement, because although if you look at price action since January, which is right here, Jan, Feb, March, and then June it did spike up. So it was more sideways action, and then June it started really picking up with the other metals. So 160% there for the year. Pretty crazy to see, right? It broke above the 2008 highs. So, people are out there saying that, oh my God, look at this here. Wouldn't be a surprise to see something where this turns around and crashes the way it did in 2008, right? Could this be a signal that, hey, we moved up, and the metals are signaling to you a crash, a recession, or something to come? Because look at it, we're at 2007, 2008 levels. And when you look at platinum over the years after 2008, it was just really shit price action, right? Until now it spikes, and then we might see the same thing, right? Maybe recession in 2026 and we crash, and everything also plunges too, like platinum. So I don't know, I can't really answer that question, although yes, you could say from a macro point of view, well, we got GDP numbers that came out better than expected. But when you're looking at this K-shaped economy, and when you're looking at everything around you, it does feel that prices and the economy and consumers are all under pressure, and they're in pain, even though the markets continue to rip higher, right? So, but as a trader, you've got to keep in mind price action matters more than just any kind of nonsense predictions or theories or whatnot. Even though I may agree with you when you look at historically, when you look at the bonds and the yield curve and interest rate cycle, yes, and yes, everything is forming up to some sort of possible trouble ahead. But can you pinpoint exactly when and what time? No, I don't think anyone can, unless you've got inside information. So sure, trouble ahead, but for now, price action is not trading like that. Going back to the metals again, strength, we see copper also, but gold, silver, platinum, those are the big winners for 2025. Bitcoin, not so much. Maybe 2026 could be Bitcoin's year or not, or we could see, you know, kind of a a bear market for Bitcoin for a year and then pick up in the end of 2026. So possible, anything's possible. So let's see. Sometimes, you know, I feel that is the likely path. Other times when I do hear people are too bearish on Bitcoin, then I think, okay, maybe the sell off is going to end soon, because once everybody's way too bearish, that's when, you know, things change around. So same thing here with Ethereum, Solana, right? Let's look at a better chart. Let's see what Solana is doing. So same thing, sideways. Look at this head and shoulders formation. If there's any bear market, any cracks, you know, this Solana is going to plunge. And it doesn't look good here. It looks ugly. Solana's chart looks absolutely ugly. Currencies, the dollar. The dollar, well, is on support. You are getting rate cuts. So you're getting kind of the weakening in the US dollar. Again, you get these spikes in data like GDP, or, you know, some data, you know, sometimes the data looks where things are good. Sometimes it looks it's horrendous, etc., etc. Hard to tell, but nonetheless, it is the expectation that we are going to see rate cuts, especially with the new Fed member, especially if it's Hassett, likely to see more of that rate cut happen, and more of it would mean that we could see a weaker US dollar. The yen, you know, it's been plunging, but more sideways afterwards, especially in 2025, you know, seeing a rally and then coming off. The Canadian dollar is very interesting. So I think, you know, with the US being more dovish, I believe the expectation for versus you know, the Bank of Canada for next year, I think we could see a possibility of a stronger Canadian dollar against the US dollar, unless something changes, recession, more rate cuts, etc., etc. Something drastic needs to happen for the Canadian dollar to plunge. Euro, same thing. So in terms of other currencies, it's the same play, right? If we're getting the US dollar, then we're going to see strength in the other currencies. Bonds. Let's take a look and talk about bonds. So yeah, bonds hovering right there at that support level, resistance level here, ready to blast off, waiting for the signal of further rate cuts, so we could see those yields come down further. So 2026 is going to be very interesting. I want to know for 2026, how much rate cuts are we getting? Are we getting really drastic levels of rate cuts? Are we getting those emergency rate cuts also for next year? Because if so, we're going to see the bond market just fly, and you know, trouble is ahead. If not, then, you know, bonds could be kind of this price action for some time. Look at the long end bond market, you know, same thing, just hovering here, but can change depending on depending on the risk factors, inflation, and interest rates as well. High yield corporate bonds, how are they playing out? Picking up a bit. I could argue that's showing a little bit of some strength, but some would say watch this this ticker here, HYG. If we see some pain in this ticker, then that could signal something negative ahead. Volatility in the bond markets coming off, so nothing there. When you look at other spreads and indexes, like the corporate index for bonds, this is for corporate bonds, this is for high yield bonds. The index, again, not so bad. Nothing alarming. Nothing alarming. So at the end of the day, the bond market is not signaling anything. Again, it's, I understand we're at the end of the year, so things are quiet. Same thing with the VIX, quiet. So there's really nothing to take from it. But when you look at it from a daily point of view and a weekly point of view overall, they're just waiting on interest rates, on inflation, on economy, growth, etc., which we don't have answers to right now, which we will get in 2026. Now, last but not least, equities. S&P 500, here's your Santa Claus rally. Here it is. Here it is. Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas. Right? Breaking all-time highs. Very close to that 7,000 level in the S&P. Looking like we're going to get there very soon. NASDAQ also hasn't, reached all-time highs, but getting close to it. Russell 2000, same thing. Dow Jones, same thing. So all, for the year, when you look at the S&P 500, we started off here, sold off, tariff war, and from Jan, about 13% up, right? Now, if you got it at the bottom, it's about 44%. Look at equities again. NASDAQ. Same thing. Whoops. About 20%, right? From the highs. 16% where we are right now. Russell 2000. Sorry for all that noise. I should shut that off. My phone is just going crazy. The 12% from where we are and 14% from the high. So that's how Russell performed for 2025. Trump shaking up things, right? So yeah, it's okay, right? Some markets did better. Gold, silver. January. So these are just estimates, okay? I'm just eyeballing it here. And I'm not going on the first trading day of January, just estimates. 14% for Dow Jones, right? So obviously NASDAQ the winner, right? You got the tech names, the AI, the semiconductor world, the Nvidia's, Oracle, etc. Although Oracle's down quite a bit, but the whole AI play, the data center play, causing tech to just skyrocket. So that's the year for 2025. Now, in heading, as we approached to the end of the year, there was fears around this whole tech thing, this AI thing, the data centers, recession fears, causing NASDAQ to, now you see, underperform, rotation, and S&P, Russell, Dow, etc. 2026 going to be very interesting. Do we get those fears? Do we shrug it off? Right now, equities are in a bull market. Bitcoin is, not in tandem with equities or with gold, with anyone. It's just been selling off since October, underperforming there. Bonds holding up, waiting for more signs of macro data and news, and the metals just outperforming. So what will the theme be in 2026? That will be a very interesting question that we will analyze and go through on a daily, weekly, monthly basis whenever these videos happen, or in the chat room if you're part of that. And we will continue to see you know, what the themes are, what the changes are, what's the macro data, what's the the bond market telling us, recession fears, any signals or signs that we need to be aware of, that whole AI play. Definitely AI is going to be continue to be the big thing. Will we get pulled back? Sure, we will. But it doesn't mean that that's the end. Those pullbacks will be bought. AI will come out strong again. History does not repeat itself exactly, but it often rhymes. And literally, if you remember the dot-com era, if you remember from 1990s, all the way up to the dot-com bubble bursting, and then afterwards too, it was all about the internet. And look at it now. Amazon, Google, etc., etc. Whole life revolves around internet. Just think about the same thing with AI. Do not fade AI long term. 100%. I'm not against that trend. I do see it benefiting and doing very well in the long term. There are arguments to make for tailwinds for the tech sector in terms of the AI. Also for the markets as a whole, when it comes to stimulus, when it comes to rate cuts, when it comes to money printing, midterm elections, fiscal policy, monetary policy, injection from both sides, monetary and fiscal, right? What Trump's going to do to prop up the markets, there are a lot of possibilities of tailwinds there. On the other side of things, yes, there's arguments of weakening growth, weakening consumers, K-shaped economy, some doing better, some not, fears around AI bubble, fears around will companies continue to perform well, fears around are they overspending, capex, etc., etc. Short-term things that can create some volatility, which is another argument for 2026, and 100% could see that too. Could happen tomorrow, could happen in the beginning of the 2026 year, or the end of 2026, or the last half of 2026. Who knows? We'll see. But that's your performance. That's how 2025 was, and we're still in the bull markets for equities and in certain markets. We'll see if this lasts in 2026. So let me know what you guys think. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. If I don't do a video for New Year's, Happy New Year's. May your 2026 be an awesome year with a lot of good health, wealth, family, and just a lot of happiness overall. So anyways, share your thoughts on the markets, on or your themes or ideas, or where you think where certain markets will be in 2026, where the economy might be in 2026. Leave a comment below, subscribe, hit the like button, bell icon to be notified of the next video, and I'll see you guys around. Cheers. Bye.